Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, that was an endeavor to get that whole thing up and running.
Yes, it was.
Right.
It's all right. Here we are.
Yeah. So, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Saturday. Yeah.
It is Saturday. It is Saturday, isn't it? Man,
What
tomorrow's
does that
Easter.
even mean anymore?
I know. Well, that is one of the things I was talking about earlier when we were having a discussion is structure, and so how you can forget the days.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah, today's Saturday. It's a weekend. That doesn't matter anymore.
No, it sure doesn't. Yeah. Well, for everyone watching this, Ian and I are having a fun Saturday chat about coping strategies, practical coping strategies for the times that we're in now, how to handle
Yeah.
what's going on.
So what we've noticed is that there is obviously a lot more stress and a lot more fear that's beginning to emerge, and a lot of people are having a hard time dealing with the overwhelming amount of information, the underwhelming amount of feeling of control, and
Mhm.
the overwhelming amount of disassociation. And I think that there is uh, for some people, there might even be a father figure role that comes down to this. Um, I've
Oh,
mentioned this before in my other
I want to hear about
conversations.
that. What do you
Yeah,
mean by that?
so I mentioned this before in my other conversations. Is when I had this realization originally was it was around 4 a.m. I woke up
Mm.
and couldn't go back to sleep, and so I put on YouTube and I was watching Trump's speaking to the press, and I never listened to him. I only catch the highlights and then I move on. And this I actually sat down and I listened to the last 3 days of him talking about what's going on and ways that they're going to approach to deal with it, and just the way he deals with things. And I suddenly, like, I didn't realize till later, I started having a panic attack,
Mm.
and I thought I was getting sick, and I'm like, shoot, I got the coronavirus. Like, I'm feeling like woozy, and
Yeah.
I feel discombobulated for like half the day, and then later on I realized what was going on. And
Mm.
what I the realization that I had was that I was turning to my entire life. I'm 39,
Mm.
and I've been looking towards anytime there's been a crisis. Like, I remember when I was in college, 9/11 happened,
Mhm.
and watching the president speak. And even then, he had a way of dealing with the situation. The mayor of New York had a way of dealing with the situation, and there was this calmness and this direction that was being led, and everyone felt safe. And what I the sitting there listening to this guy speak was there was not that feeling of that you could run to your parents' arms when you were scared, when the world just felt very unsafe. And so and then I realized there was this parenting figure, this father figure that I was looking towards that I wasn't seeing in that moment.
Mm.
And that's where that fear came from. And I can imagine a lot of other people are dealing with that same emotion, is when they're embedding themselves in the news 24/7. They're obsessing over this, and this lack of control they have when they're turning towards the people that are meant to give them that ability of safety from a parenting perspective. It's no
Mm.
longer there. And
Mhm.
so I wonder if that perhaps people with those underlying issues, if they're being uh, if the stress is higher for them than it is for others.
Absolutely. So, yeah, for instance, well, most people, um, when they grow up, they at some point in their life have to learn how to reparent themselves if they
Hmm.
didn't get the structure and the parenting that they needed because their parents weren't able or their parents weren't around a lot or a number of different possible reasons. So this is a time of a lot of chaos and fear and stress and anxiety. And I think this is a really great time for us to begin to learn how to parent ourselves. You're right. If we don't have that father energy available to us in a form of an actual human parent that we can right now be in their presence, then we have to find a way to give that to ourselves. So, what we were talking about before we started recording was, some of the coping strategies like, creating structure for yourself during the day, like a routine of some kind, right?
Hmm.
That's what a lot of therapists are recommending, that you follow some kind of routine that's predictable. Get up in the morning, take a walk, make yourself breakfast, work for a couple hours if you're still able to work, have lunch, take a nap or whatever, work some more, play video games, whatever your routine is. That's what a parent would do for us, right? When we're
Hmm.
scared and little, they would say, okay, now we're going to have lunch. And then after lunch, we're going to take a nap. And when we're done with our nap, we'll get up and play. So we are all being, I think, called upon to create our own um, safety,
Hmm.
right?
So then I know that you're still working because you're able to
Mm-hmm.
in your practice. So your routine hasn't changed that much. But I imagine a
It
lot
has
of the
actually, yeah.
it has?
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Well, right now I'm working sporadically throughout the day. And honestly, for months and months, my routine has been very strange and out of its usual rhythm. And so I've had a lot of practice over the last 6 months or so of being out of sync with normal life for me, um, for whatever reason. So I've been slower than usual, and then I would get very busy again, and then slower again, and then very busy. So my life has been a little bit non-routine.
Mm.
But now you're right. Now there is, I have, as a way of coping for myself, I have like a ritual of my day where I get up in the morning. I can't go to the gym, so I take the dogs for a walk. We walk for about 45 minutes. I make myself breakfast. I engage in some kind of work exercise if I can, if there's a client that needs to work or wants to work, and then have a lunch. I do something recreational, work a little bit more. Yeah. I've In order to feel grounded in this time, I have had to make, just like everyone else, make something out of this, make some kind of structure out of this.
Mm. So I was having another conversation with a colleague, another therapist, and it was interesting what they were talking about is because I've been looking at only two different parties, but they were showing me realization that there were more. And one is you have people from one camp who are usually very busy,
Yeah.
and then everything comes to a halt. And so there's some are collapsing under the weight of not having that structure
Time.
anymore. And then
Mm-hmm.
some are actually recreating structure for themselves, but they're overdoing it. Like
Mm.
they're not, these people are usually the ones A-type personalities. They're like, I'm used to getting up, running, 10 miles in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and then going to work and then going to the gym after, or something of that nature where they're constantly pushing themselves.
Right.
And then, well, now that they have so much reflection time, they're still creating that busy situation and not giving themselves where they actually can slow down.
Yeah.
And so not having that acceptance. So one is those, and then looking at what are some methods that they could use to actually turn and stop and look in the mirror and say, yep, this is me, this is what I do, this is the
Yeah.
first step that I need to take in order to take the steps forward to get out of this pattern.
Yeah.
And then the others are the ones that are taking it as in, I'm not going to do anything. Like I'm laying in bed, I'm sleeping until noon,
Depressed.
and yeah, and they take over that full depression state, but they're not realizing there's like, yeah, this is a vacation for me, but there's so many other things that they
Yeah.
could be doing with themselves. Not so many, but there's other things they could be doing with themselves to create uh, or prepare themselves when they come out of this to be more. And
Yeah.
again, what are one or two methods of that starting point to get them into that path and into that ability to actually walk down those steps?
Yeah. Let me start with the type A person who's taken this time off and continued to have a stressful job. Only they've given themselves different work. For people who are used to coping by doing and doing and doing, um, if they're willing, so this is assuming they're willing to notice that this is not best for them anymore, right?
Hmm.
because not everyone sees this as a problem. Well,
Right.
there's a
They
lot
wouldn't
of
be here.
people. Yeah, there's a lot
They
of
wouldn't be
people out
listening
there.
to this.
That's true. That's true. So if you're finding yourself recreating work and filling your time with things, other things like cleaning your house, and this is the time to tackle all these projects in your house and not giving yourself enough time. Um, what would I offer that person? Well, first of all, I'd ask them if they could reflect on what they might be running away from. What is the overdoing, the action? What are you trying to avoid? Because that's really the first step. It's kind of understanding what your motivation is.
Mm.
Is there a feeling that you're trying to avoid? Are you trying to protect yourself from grief? Are you trying to protect yourself from having a panic attack? And the only way that you can not have panic attacks is by being busy. And then if you can recognize that there's something that you're trying to avoid by keeping busy, then you can begin to work with that feeling in your body. And that's different for a lot of, like, for people, it's very different. Some people, the best way that they can begin to work with those feelings is by moving. But moving in a very mindful way, not in a I'm out running and I've got my music blaring and I'm not paying attention. Moving, maybe doing stretching or yoga or a walk that's gentle where you have to slow down and pay attention to how your body is feeling. That's a way to begin for some people. Another way that people can work with this, what they're trying to avoid, is through journaling. You can give yourself 5 minutes, feel the anxiety or the fear or whatever it is, and just start writing, and write until the timer goes off. Whatever comes up, even if it's I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Doesn't matter. You just give yourself the opportunity to allow things to move in that way. Another way that you can do, even like if you have little kids at home, you can pull out the finger paints or the watercolors or the crayons and just allow yourself to draw your emotion. So if you're feeling anxiety, what would that look like on paper? And create it. Or with pencil, it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be colorful or anything. Just begin to get that emotion moving in some way. Of course, there's meditation. There's emotional freedom technique. Do you know what that is? Have you heard of that?
I do, but most might
Okay.
not.
So emotional freedom technique is a tapping on acupuncture points on the face. Starts here, I think. I can't remember. I used to do it all the time. Here, under the face, under the nose, chin, chest, wrist. There's a bunch of different places, and you can go on YouTube, type in emotional freedom technique, and find thousands and thousands of videos. And you can even type in EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, for grief, for anxiety, for despair, for hopelessness, whatever it is, and it will walk you through the process of how to do that. That's another way to get the energy moving and begin to come into more awareness of what's happening for you. Slow down a little bit. So those are some things I would do for people who are type A.
I would add in, there's something Garrett Wood and I were talking about similar stuff, and he added in a small tip that I didn't even think of announcing, which was if you can only do it for 30 seconds, do it for 30 seconds and then move on. And so the time duration, like being able to meditate for an hour or 20 minutes is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The ability to do it, to just do it, is the most important thing. And then just do it sporadically throughout the day over the course of multiple times. And then over time, it just gets easier. Because again, we got nothing but time right now. So
that's true. Yeah, that's true. We have lots of opportunity to practice things. And yes, anything that you're doing that's new, that's challenging for you, is going to be hard at first. Like right now, I'm learning how to play guitar, and
nice.
I can only play like 10 chords.
I want to hear it.
Okay. Yeah. So, first I had to work through the nervousness of buying a guitar. And then I had to work through the nervousness of restringing the guitar because I didn't know how to do that. And, these are like little steps that I've had to kind of conquer my resistance around. And now I have a restrung guitar that I can play, and I go on YouTube or go on an app and begin to learn some songs that resonate with me. But I don't play the guitar for hours at a time because my fingers can't take it, for one. Like my fingers are going to hurt from pushing on the string. And number two, it's a lot of cognitive effort for me. It's a lot of body effort right now for me to play for more than 20 or 30 minutes. And so that's what I do. I play for as long as it feels good to me, and then I put it down again until the next time that I feel that I want to try. So it's the same with meditation. Meditation for me is not, there's lots of styles of meditation, one of them being sitting still on a cushion, which really has never been easy for me when I started. I didn't learn to meditate that way. I learned meditation through guided meditation, where someone's speaking to you and it's helping you to relax. And then I learned to meditate with a mantra, where you sing and you kind of lose yourself in the singing. And now I can meditate in silence for however long I need to.
Hmm.
But it's not something I just plopped myself down on the cushion and said, you have to sit here for 30 minutes and suffer.
You have you have a few of those that you've made. You sent me one once.
I have a bunch of them now, different
Yeah.
meditations. Yeah. I've been
So
making more lately.
that would be a good thing. If people were to watch this, if there was a way for them to be able to access that or access you,
Mm-hmm.
to get those, that might be beneficial in the future for you.
Yeah. So actually,
Help
some
those
of them
people.
are on our YouTube channel that Noah and I
Oh,
have.
perfect.
And there's a few,
What is that? The YouTube channel?
it's called She, He, We Awakening.
Noah was telling me about where that came about. Interesting name. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, like he said, it's the idea of, he's in a masculine experience of the world. I'm in a feminine experience of the world. But we're learning to understand each other's experience and coming into
Mhm.
more of a unity, rather than thinking of ourselves as I'm the woman and he's the man. And no, we're blending kind of. So yeah. So there's some guided meditations on there. There's even a couple for around the virus, around the fear of the virus. There's a meditation in there to help clean your house energetically, to help lift any um, fear and terror, mostly, that you've discharged out
Hmm.
in the day. So there's a couple of good ones in there. I have a couple of ones that are just audio. So if anyone is interested that is watching this, you can find me on Facebook under my full name and just send me a PM, and I'll send you. I have an energy callback meditation and a heart meditation. That's a very soothing meditation. It's very good for your nervous system. So, what were we saying?
The other bit was for people who are having on the other side of the spectrum. So then you have people that have used depression as a blanket
Yeah,
to
sunk
cover over
down.
their head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for those people, well, first of all, let me just say, this is not an invitation to bypass your feelings. Emotional bypassing is really prevalent right now. You see or hear people say, think positively and let's not get all like freaked out about this. Let's think about how the planet is healing and nature is coming back. And yes, that is true. But we still need to feel our feelings. We still need to process in our bodies the fear and the sadness and the depression and all that. However, like you're suggesting, there should be some period of time that you honor your feelings, and also you can move the pendulum the other direction so that your body can come out of that. I think a lot of people have emotional addictions, or they want to hook into a certain feeling and they get stuck there. And I'm not talking about people who are clinically depressed and have difficulty in their brains with neurotransmitters and stuff like that. I'm not talking about those people. Some people really do need chemical support. I'm talking about your reasonably mentally well person, your average person that's stuck in a funk right now. I just want to be very clear about that. So for those people, I recommend that you find something joyful to do in your life. Find something that brings you joy. So for me, I like to listen to joyful music, and that helps me kind of come out of the lower energies. Or I like to watch cartoons or kids movies or comedy. Like Noah and I started watching Seinfeld again yesterday. That show is hilarious.
It is. I actually started watching Friends, and I got through season 5, and then I turned it off.
Yeah.
I
Well, it's
was watching too
medicine
much.
for a time and then you're done with it.
Yeah.
But it's important to give yourself the opposite experience too. So explore your feelings that are the lower, denser vibrations, because those things totally need to be felt and dealt with. But also give yourself the opposite. Give yourself joy. Give yourself experiences where you can connect to the energy of peace or hope. And maybe that's, like I said, watching a certain television program or connecting with someone who has that, who is in a really higher vibration or in a joyful place or is very positive right now. And just see if you can kind of move into that energy for a little while, because we all need a break from all of this intensity. You know, we're not meant to be stuck in this emotion for months, like 2 months, however long this coronavirus thing is going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to add is there's also giving yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
The American way of doing things is to push through it, is barrel through. Like
True.
I know I'm very guilty of that. Like reason why I've had in the double digits of surgeries is because I didn't know how to give up and knew what pain actually meant. And so I would just push myself to the breaking point until something would break or would have to get surgically repaired.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that into my life of where you just kept going and going and going until you get to adrenal exhaustion. And that is embedded in our society,
Mm-hmm. Agree.
specifically here. And so
Where's here?
the
California?
in the US,
Oh, okay.
that is a way of life for us.
Yeah.
Working 60 hours a week you're doing a good job.
Oh.
Not only sleeping 4 to 6 hours a night, and like barreling through for years, like you're a hero, like you're a superhero. And that kind of stuff is a improper way to look at it, where you're punishing yourself.
Yeah.
And so having that grace and slowing down of like right now, like my I've had to shut them down and I have nothing else to do. So I'm doing stuff like this, but then at the same time, I'm doing other businesses that are moving along, but also instead of attempting to put all my effort into it and just make myself busy, I'm actually slowing down and being like, you know what, I am going to do this, and I am going to like sit down and play a board game with a friend through Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
or take the time where I could be working at noon right now because that's normally what I'd be doing. Like most of my life, that's what I did. At noon, I was busy with something else. But right now I feel like doing this, and I'm going to take that time because there still is stress in the world. There still is anxiety. Like even though I am pushing to a positive place, I still feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And taking the time to slow down and accepting that and giving yourself, like you were saying, video games or playing guitar and
Mm-hmm.
taking that time to actually have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to have a lot of forgiveness and mercy for ourselves right now, because we can't. I mean, I've seen this a couple times online and I really like it. This is a traumatic time for us. This is a time of active trauma for many people, not for everyone, but for many people. And so if you're going through trauma, the idea that you have to be the most productive of your life right now, like this is an opportunity to do the thing that you've never been doing, you never want, whatever, that kind of rhetoric is harmful. It's harmful for people. It's a lot of pressure. Right now, maybe the most beautiful gift that you can give yourself is an hour in the hammock with a book. and just allowing yourself to do what you need to do. So, my strategy for this time has been, okay, I have, 3 hours that I'm going to be doing work with people. And then the rest of my day, I'm going to devote that to joy.
Hmm.
So what is the fun, like, this is something that's joyful for me, having a conversation with you about real shit, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's why I've been doing some free stuff online, because I like connecting with people. I like to offer people and be of service, and come from my heart. And this just brings me joy. I like to play the guitar. I like to play my ukulele. I like to laugh at Noah playing Zelda. I like to, I've made cookies this week for the first time in 5 years.
Oh, I missed your cookies.
I know.
I remember you used to bring them to class.
I know, I did. And I put baking away for a long time. But, I've made banana bread and 3 different kinds of cookies in the last couple weeks. And, I like being in the sunshine, and I like to smoke a cigar a day. And, these are the things that I do when I want to, from a place of joy. And I've found that if I can stay connected to what will bring me joy today, this whole process is so easy. It's been so easy for me to navigate. I do have times of, oh shit, I sure hope I get that small business loan, because it's going to be a funky period. Like, the end of the month is going to be a little strange. I'm not sure how the rent's going to get paid. But if I stay in joy and trust, and just know that something will come through for me, I don't know what it is, but something will, then I can just keep going, in a reasonable state of health, and mental health and physical health, throughout all of this. So, yeah. I don't know
That's
how long we've
perfect.
been talking, Ian. Do you still
I
want to
don't know.
talk more?
No, I think that's good. That's
Yeah.
plenty for people to digest and
Hmm.
absorb and take away.
Yeah, I think so too.
But let's do this again soon.
Sure. That was fun. I'm going to stop recording now. Bye, everyone.
Bye.